I'm Kathy Klotz, Executive Director of Intermountain Therapy Animals and Reading Education Assistance Dogs, the R.E.A.D program. R.E.A.D was born in November of 1999 when we first brought therapy dogs into the Salt Lake City Library to be reading companions for children. We knew we were onto something great, but we really had no idea what a journey it would be and how the program would capture the hearts and minds of children and adults worldwide. The R.E.A.D program is respected and endorsed by educators, librarians, parents, and kids everywhere. It has literally spread around the world, reaching thousands of children throughout the United States, into Canada, the United Kingdom, Europe, and as far away as South Africa and Slovenia. Our continuing efforts to introduce children to the joys of reading and books help to lay the foundation for a lifetime. Succeeding at reading is vital to children's eventual success at school, on the job, in socioeconomic achievement, and even to their health. We've learned a lot over the years, and we're always eager to learn more and share it. So we're pleased to bring you this series of videos designed to help handlers in their ongoing quest for succeeding at reading. One of the flexible elements in the R.E.A.D program is the arrangement of your reading environment. What's essential is that you, your dog, and the child can all make a comfortable connection. Here's how one of our R.E.A.D staff, Nancy Brooks of Minneapolis, Minnesota, arranges her environment to be a welcoming space, comfortable and appropriate for a child to relax and enjoy the R.E.A.D experience to the utmost.
As you know, in a R.E.A.D session, Reading Education Assistance Dogs, what we're looking for is a connection between the reader and the dog. So I like to arrange my environment the best way to help that connection, to establish that connection and help grow it. I like a blanket that's big, so I like to have something at least 2 yards long and quite wide, so that there's plenty of room for my child, plenty of room for the dog, and then plenty of room for me. In my session, I like to have the dog in the middle. I think this is the best way for the child to connect to the dog here. By having the child here, it gives him maximum opportunity to pet the dog. The type of blanket that we use, this is just a sample for right now, but the type of blanket we use is something that's very washable. There's so many allergy concerns in the school, in the library setting, so I like something that I can fold up after we're done, take it home and wash it, and it gets washed many, many times during the year, and then we can bring it back and have a nice clean blanket, and we don't have to worry about any allergies with fur or dander left over on the blanket. So as we're looking at the environment with the dog and the reader, we have the reader over here, we have the dog in the middle, and we have me as the handler on this side. It's very important for me to be able to look at the book and support the reader. And now this way Sassy can also see the book too. This is what we would call the quintessential triangle in a R.E.A.D environment. So I can see my dog's face, I can see the child's face, and they can all see each other's face. So we're all in a big connection here. Some people have a concern about sitting on the blanket because it does take a little bit of flexibility to be able to get down on the floor. So if you're not comfortable sitting on the floor, think about some other ideas on how you can have all three of you on the same level. Some people will sit on 3 different stools. You'll have the stool here for the child, the stool here for the dog, and the stool for you. Or some people will be on a bench. Some of the library conference rooms have a little stage that's this long. You can sit on the edge of that. One of the teams had a love seat lawn chair that she got permission to bring into the school, and she had a small dog, and that was just enough room for her, the dog, and the reader on their little love seat, which I thought was a fabulous idea. So you can be creative on different ideas. The important point is to have a connection. You don't want to be over in a chair up here with your leash over there and the kid and the dog doing whatever. You want to be on the same connection, on the same level. Many of the smaller dogs, it's easy to have them on a blanket. It can elevate them a little bit and also tell the child this is the dog space, because sometimes there can be some intimidation issues with the child and a smaller dog. One of the reasons I like to use a blanket, and I always use the same blanket with Sassy all the time, is she knows exactly what's going to happen on this blanket. So when I lay the blanket out when we get into our library or school, she knows exactly. And she's been doing this for many years, so she just, before the blanket even settles from the air, she's right in the middle like, where is my reader? So it's a good thing to have a consistent environment so your dog knows what's going to happen, and the child too for that matter. It's not a surprise in what they're going to do in the R.E.A.D session. When the child is approaching, I like to say, oh, come on over here, sit down here. Sassy is so ready to hear your story. It gives the child some direction on where he should sit. Because if I just say, yeah, come on over, he doesn't know what he's supposed to do, if he's allowed on the blanket or anything like that. So if I tell him, come on, sit over here, then it gives him some direction. And then by having the dog here, allows the child to read to the dog in the easiest connection. It allows the child to have the book here to show the pictures to the dog. That way, if the dog can see the pictures and I'm standing here, I can also see the text in case the reader needs some help with the words. So if you remember, the child is not reading to me. The child is here to read to the dog. And so we want those two to be comfortable. Sometimes we have a reader that comes up that may not be quite too sure about what's going to happen with the dogs, or maybe they're not very confident about this particular dog. Sometimes if a dog is black, sometimes if a dog is small, they can be intimidating for a child also. So it's very empowering when I can say, Sassy, come over here, and I can just point and I can have her move and sit on this side of my blanket. The child can be quite impressed that I don't have to yank my dog over and command my dog over here and sit over here. It's just a nice smooth, here Sassy, sit over here, and she moves. And the child is like, whoa, that dog is listening. So Sassy is a well-trained dog, and the child is seeing that, so the child can feel more comfortable about that also. Of course, with the R.E.A.D program, it's always nice to have the R.E.A.D bandana because you have earned major credibility with that, so it's nice to have that there. Some people will wear a vest on their dog, and that depends on your facility, your group, and if you like to wear a vest with your dog. With my dog Sassy, if she was wearing a vest, that means the instinctive place to pet her is on the head, which isn't very polite for dogs. And then the other place, if she's wearing a vest, is to pat her on her rear. In her later years, she had arthritis in her hips, and I don't want people patting her here. So we never wore a vest. Sassy had a nice dark spot in her fur, so I could say, oh, Sassy likes it when you pet her here. And so that was direction to help the child to figure out what to do, so they would know to pet her here. One of the challenging things to keep in mind is, as an adult in this setting, an adult can be intimidating to the child. So I want to have the dog as accessible as possible to the child. So if I'm here holding this dog on my lap, or what happens frequently is I'll see some handlers are leaning over like this to see the book that the child has there, but now the dog is almost in my lap and it's very difficult for that child to feel comfortable petting the dog. So I'll even catch myself doing that, and I'll have to remember to help the dog be accessible to the child. I like a big blanket because that allows room for Sassy to come over and move on this way if the child doesn't want the dog that close to them. It allows the child to relax. Many times the child will sit cross-legged on the floor. Sometimes the child's going to lay down and be on his belly reading the book. A big space is going to allow him plenty of room to make that decision on how they're going to read. By having a big enough blanket, this allows enough room for everybody to relax. I have room for my child to change position, and more importantly for my dog to feel comfortable and know that he doesn't have to be a statue and solid there for a whole hour, hour and a half, 2 hours, however long we're in that session. So by providing a big enough blanket for me to change positions and my dog to change positions, he's going to be comfortable too. You saw in the R.E.A.D basic training video that Kathy McNulty likes to be in the corner of a room. So there'd be a little bit of space so that the dog can have some room to relax. And I put the blanket close enough to the wall, not up against the wall, but close enough to the wall that I don't have people walking around behind me. I don't want the dog to have to worry about people behind him, and I don't want the reader to be distracted about people that would be going that way also. As a therapy team, my biggest job is to protect my animal, to be an advocate for my animal. So I have to make sure that I build on that trust relationship that we've already established. My dog needs to know what to expect from me, and I need to know what to expect from my dog. And so we've already passed all the evaluations that we need to do to be a therapy team, so we have that good relationship. One of the ways that I continue that relationship is I always have a hand on my dog. I don't have a hand on my dog like this, which would be intimidating to the child, that he doesn't have room to come in and pet the dog. What I usually do is I have a little finger back here on his back leg for my dog Sassy. I just like to have a little finger just resting there. That's some assurance to her that I'm aware of what she's doing and what's happening on the blanket. I don't want to distract her from interacting with the child and knowing what's going on there. So I just have a little finger here, and then I can also sense if she's going to move. If she's seeing something in the environment that may be alarming, I can sense that just a portion of a second before it happens. It's also a trick that we have because I know towards the end of a session, especially when we're in the library and it's getting late in the session, I know she's going to fall asleep. Normally she sits and reads when she's in a downstay, and towards the end of the session, if she's going to fall asleep, she'll start shifting her hips. If this particular child is really into sassy, then I can give her a little nudge and she'll lean over and lay on the kid, which goes over quite well. If this child maybe isn't that so much into sassy, then I can touch this other hip, and then sassy will lean over towards me and look adoringly at that child.
Thanks for watching. We hope you'll check out the other videos in our Succeeding at Reading series. If you have questions, we're happy to help. Please contact us at any time. From all of us at Intermountain Therapy Animals, thank you for your time and dedication to becoming an ever more skilled READ team.
Special thanks to Pia and Jimmy Zankel and the Laura J. Niles Foundation, whose generous support of READ makes this series possible.